In 5th and 6th grade, we start doing research papers. Well, we actually start learning the research process and how to write a research paper. So today, y'all are going to learn part 1 of a multi-part lesson. It's really going to fall into 3 different parts. Now, I've been collaborating with your teachers, and mainly in science and ELA, we're kind of working together, and y'all are going to be doing a research project after the STAR test. So, what we're going to be doing in the library is I'm going to be teaching you the different steps in this process, and we're going to learn a lot of different things so that when it comes down after STAR and we start our project, y'all will already know the steps that we need to take and how to do a lot of it. Now, are you going to remember all of it? No, probably not. But that's okay, because we're going to lay the foundation starting this week, and we're going to be doing it each week until after the STAR test. Okay? So sometimes it gets a little confusing, and research papers, I know you've probably heard them before, people doing them. They're a lot of work, but we're going to break it down into steps to make it easy for you. Question?
It's about the STAR. May I ask it right now?
Sure.
Okay. So, what other stuff, apart from the research papers, what other stuff will we be doing after STAR?
Oh, I don't know. Your teachers have a lot of things planned. I have some things planned. We have some library programs that we're implementing that you've seen this year, that like the STEAM Club and all of that. So what we're probably going to be doing is some culminating activities. We're going to be learning more about some of these programs. So we're going to, STAR is the second week of May, and that only leaves us 2 weeks after that. And the last 2 weeks of school, the teachers and the administrators have a lot of things planned. 2 weeks after that.
Well, isn't like the second week like half a week or something?
No, the second week of May is going to be STAR. That's going to be the important week. We're going to be doing all of our STAR testing. So
Wait, how many weeks? Oh, I thought you meant after. That's how many weeks are after STAR.
After STAR, you'll have about 2 weeks left of school, and that's when you're going to be doing your research project.
Yeah.
We're going to have built up and done a lot of steps so that those 2 weeks you'll be putting it together and doing the final stages.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do it in parts. Okay, good questions, but let's get started. So, part 1 of our research process today is going to be how to choose a topic, how to form the question that we're going to research, and the actual starting to research process. Okay? All right. So before we get started, I want everybody to look at your table, and you should have a materials basket. Y'all should be familiar with that. So in your materials basket, I'm going to quickly show you what you have. You're going to have 2 handouts. There's enough for each person in here. You're going to have some index cards. I put some extra pencils in here and pens in case you need it, because sometimes, well, I have some pencils that are sharpened in there. And you're going to have some physical resources, some books and things here. And then on each table, you have another stack of books. And they're separate from the ones in your material baskets for a reason. Then you should also have your computer. So everybody will take their computers and push them up in front of them or to the side so that, away so that you have some area in front of you. We all good? Any questions about materials? Okay, let's get started. So, the first thing we're going to do right now is we're going to do a think, pair, share activity. So I want you to turn to your partner. Everybody has a partner beside them. And with your partner, I want you to brainstorm quietly about 3 topics that you would like to know more about. Just maybe talk to each other and something that you're interested in or something you've been interested in. You're so quiet. Y'all have something that you're interested in? So give me a snap whenever you have a couple of things that your group is in. You got one snap? No, couple. Snap. Y'all got it? Give me your snap. Just a few. How about back there?
We're still brainstorming.
Okay. I'll give you just a few more seconds. How about y'all back here? Do y'all have something? want you to pick one. Y'all agree on one of those things that y'all talked about. Got it? Thumb up, thumb up, thumb up. Yes? Okay, it looks like I got everybody has a list. Now that you have that topic inside of your little brains, I want you to talk to your partner, and I want you to think of a question. Just think of one question that you would like to know more about. Like, put what you were discussing into just one kind of a question. Like, specifically, you're talking, let's say you wanted let's say that you decided from your list it's about elephants, okay? And if it's about elephants, what about elephants? Just with you and your partner, formulate one question that you would want to know about the topic that you have. Okay, good. How about y'all? Do y'all have a question? All right. Okay, good. All right. Everybody's got their question. All right. So, somebody want to share? So, Dylan, tell me, what topic are y'all? Did you
We decided on birds.
Birds. And what about birds do your group want to learn about?
How do they fly?
Ooh, good question.
I've never even known. I
Okay.
know how airplanes fly, but I don't know.
That is an excellent question. I don't even know the answer to that. I would like to know that. How about you? Very good. Okay, so they have their question. They want to know the steps in the life cycle. So you could pick a topic if you wanted to narrow it down, let's say the life cycle of an elephant, right? So you could say elephant, the life cycle of an elephant. Yes, ma'am.
Asian water markers, how they survive in their habitat.
Oh, that's a very interesting one. I love it. And that's a great question. And it's Asian
Water monitors.
Asian water monitors. How they survive in their habitat? That's a really good one. How about y'all? Anybody else?
We were wondering how hurricanes form.
I couldn't understand you.
How hurricanes form.
How hurricanes form. I love that one too. So hurricanes or weather and how they form. Very good. Those are good. Anybody else have anything to share? Oh, okay, so we're gonna move on. So let's talk about what you just did. So what we just did is a lot of what research is all about. And to me, a lot of times that's the hardest part of research is trying to figure out what I want to talk about and what I want to study, right? And what I want to research and find more about. We just modeled that process real quick, and we thought of a topic, we thought of a question, we narrowed our thinking. What's another way that we could do that? Like we just did it real quick with a quick pair share. What's another way that we could do that? What's something that we do all the time? We think, but what am I doing here?
Making I can't remember what's called.
Yes, y'all are good. They're graphic organizers, concept maps, graphic organizers, thinking maps. All of those are things that we call this. And I just call it, this is like a brainstorm bubble. So I could write down what it is. This is a tool that I think is very, very, very handy when it comes to trying to think of a topic or to formulate a question, things like that. And we're going to practice using that today as well. All right, so let's real quick go over what our learning intentions are. Okay? Today we're going to understand the different steps in the research process and how those steps fit together. Okay? We're going to think of it and visualize it as like a ladder. Like you have to do this like climbing a ladder, you have to go to this rung before the next. So we're going to think about that, and I'm going to quickly go over those 6 and 7 steps that we're going to do, but we're only going to focus on the bottom rungs today. Now, we will know that we're successful in our learning criteria because our success criteria is that we're going to choose a topic, we're going to form a question, and we're going to collect some information for our research project. So today, we are going to pick our topic. I kind of already know what your topic is going to be about. You're going to be more specific on specifically in the big topic what you're going to do your research paper on. And then we're going to form our question and we're going to start collecting information. Okay? So you're going to be ready for the step number 4 when we get to it. And you'll have all of this stuff laid out in front of you so that whenever we do our research project after the STAR test, you'll already be halfway done. It'll be just putting it all together. Okay? All right. That is our goals for today that we're going to try to stay focused on. Okay, so let's talk about the research process. So first off, choosing a topic and forming a question. We did that. It is important that we choose a topic so that we know what we're doing, what we're studying, and the forming the question guides us all the way through the project. Every time we look up information and we're trying to decide if we're going to use this information or how we're going to write it and put it together, we always want to go back to the question that we formed. Is it addressing the question that we want, that we're looking for? Have y'all ever had a conversation or you start writing and you're writing about something and all of a sudden you kind of veer off and you start writing about something else and you get off topic? So that's one thing that's why we form this question, because it keeps us on topic. Okay? The next thing in the process is we're going to start researching and using credible sources, credible resources. Anybody know what that might mean? What do you think that means? Credible. What does that mean? What do you think that means?
Sources that you can look up and the information is true.
Very good. A credible resource is a source we can trust. Okay? The next lesson that we're going to have a little mini lesson when you come to the library again. Y'all will be coming on Monday. That is going to be on how do we know if a resource is credible or not. So we're going to look at websites and we're going to say, yeah, this is credible and this is why and this is not credible. We're going to evaluate websites next time we get together. Okay? That is very important. That will be a very important lesson that we learn, is making sure that our resources are credible. Today, for today's purposes, all of your resources are going to be credible because I've already picked out kind of where we're going to use, what resources. You're going to get to choose which ones you use, but I've already checked to make sure that all the ones that we use today are credible. Until we can evaluate it and we learn how to evaluate it, I'm going to make sure that you're looking at credible things. Okay? So, that's the second step of the research process. The third step is an outline. Y'all know what an outline is? You know how we've made outlines before in ELA, I know for sure, where you are putting main ideas and details into a form that's easier to read, and you take out all the different details, or we have important details, but we take out all the other things so that we can just see like a skeleton of our writing, right? Okay, so what we're going to do with our outline is we're going to kind of put it together, the things that we're going to talk about, and we're going to kind of organize it. This is kind of this is important because we organize it so that it makes sense when we're reading it. Any questions up to now? Everybody good? Okay. The next thing is we start writing. We write our first draft. We start putting it together. We have our question, we have our topic, we have our sources, we'll have our outline so we know how to write it, and then we start our first draft. Now, steps 5 and 6 all have to do with the writing process. So once we start our first draft and we put everything together, we stop and review and edit. We go back, we have our peers read it, and that's an important step. We have our peers read it, you know, maybe your parents, you read it. We go back to make sure that it stays on topic and that it addresses our question, right? That we're using our sources and that it's in an organized manner. If it's not, then we revise it. And then lastly, we do our final draft. We put it all together and we get it ready and we turn it in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So today, again, we're going to look at steps 1 through 3. Once we get through 1 through 3, and there's a little mini lessons that go with each of these that we're going to be doing as we're progressing through this. After the STAR testing, y'all start your research project, you'll start with 4, 5, and 6. And a lot of that's going to be done in class, but you'll be able to come to the library and I'll be able to help you through that too. So sometimes you get writer's block or you need some more information or clarification, and then I'm going to be able to be there to help you do those kinds of things. Okay? Everybody good? Give me a thumbs up if we're all together. All right. So I'm going to give you all a little hint. At the end of class, for our evaluation today, I'm going to ask you about this. Okay? We're going to be putting this in order to see if you can remember the steps. So, anybody have any questions? Kind of take another look at it. Does it make sense to you? Is it anything in here that's like all brand new? Some stuff? Is it this part? The researching and finding credible sources? Yes. We form hypotheses all the time in science, and that's really kind of what this is. So you're already used to these things. We just call it something a little different. But researching credible sources, that's going to be something that's kind of new to us. But it's not hard. All right. So let's do something. Let's practice it together. So let's say that Ms. Bunker is going to. I need to do a research project, and I need to choose a topic. What kind of topics could I choose? Okay. So if I was going to do. I do these all the time, by the way. I make graphic organizers for everything because it helps me to narrow my thinking and keep me on task. So what kind of topics? I could talk about animals, right? Okay. Parts of the body. And Dylan said the brain. I like that one. That one always intrigues me. What else could I have? Could I do a research paper on? What else?
You could do a research paper on skateboards.
Okay, how about skateboarding?
I looked over there and I saw it on the skateboard.
Yeah.
I haven't touched it.
Okay. What else? Give me something else. Weather. I like that. Okay, so y'all get the idea. So what about weather? Okay. Very good. So there's types of weather. What about cycles? Are there cycles in weather?
Yes.
Okay. What about skateboarding?
The history of it? How it
Ooh.
started?
History. What else? Are there different kinds of skateboards?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe types. I know that one because my son likes skateboarding and we spent lots of money buying all kinds of stuff for skateboards. What about animals? That's an easy one.
Birds.
Okay. So we could talk about kinds of animals,
Tigers.
life cycles, so cycles, habitats, and that's a really good one because y'all have all your projects. I see that Ms. Honaker has all of your projects out here for display in the library, and y'all just did biomes and habitats of animals. Regions, very good.
Like Asia.
Different parts of the country, animals.
America. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's really, really good. I love that. Okay, so now I have this, right?
That's
So
a
the
lot of
next thing
stuff.
is that I need to narrow down to form my question. So, let's form my question. So what question, first I'm going to say, I got all those different things. I'm going to pick animals.
Region.
today and I was putting them away and shelving books this morning, I saw a book that interests me. Oh, I love those. I love the X zones. I found this one, Endangered Elephants. So then I started thinking about elephants. You know, elephants are an animal that it's not one that we have a lot of experience with. We don't have one in our backyard or in our house.
We live in Texas. We don't live in Africa or in.
That's right. So it's not very often, unless I go to the zoo, I may not know or have ever seen an elephant before. So I started looking at this book because this book is checked out a lot. I knew exactly where to put it over there when I was shelving it because people check it out a lot. So I thought, well, let's look at it. Why is this? Why is it so popular? So I am getting my idea from a book that's checked out a lot, and then I started thinking and I started looking at the table of contents to come up with some ideas of stuff I want to know more about. And one of them was elephants' behavior. So I thought that's funny. When I think of an elephant, I usually just think of a big, slow elephant and just kind of wandering around and eating. But they're not. And in here, there are lots of different examples of different elephant behavior that surprise me. So I would like to find out more about what are some elephant behaviors. That's going to be my guiding question. What are some elephant behaviors? That's what I'm going to research. Now, this is very important. For just one second. This is very important. When we make predictions on books and things like that in ELA, are our predictions always spot on?
No, nowhere near.
They're not. Have you ever picked up a book and said, I bet this book is about whatever? And then you start reading it and you're like, it's not about that at all. It turns out to be something different, right? So your ELA teachers have told you, right, that just because you make a prediction doesn't mean you can't change your mind, right? As you start reading, you change. As you're reading, you might change your predictions, correct? That's very important to remember. When you're doing the STAR test as well, guys, when you're doing those reading passages, even though we make predictions at the beginning of that passage, if we start seeing information that changes our mind, it makes us start thinking differently, it's okay to change your prediction and to evolve with the story, okay? That's what I want to tell you here too. Just because I settle on a question at the beginning does not mean that I can't change it and evolve this question into something else. Y'all got it? Yeah. All right. So I have my question. I've chosen my topic. I've done my brainstorming. I've formed my question. This is what I want to know. So now my job is to research. So I have a couple of different resources. What kind of resources? Let's brainstorm. What kind of resources could we have? Computer. On the computer, what kind of resources are on the computer? Somebody back there on the back row, tell me. What do we use?
Websites with information.
Excellent. Websites of information. What else can I use? Books.
Magazines and stuff.
Magazines. And what do we call these? Besides magazines? We call those periodicals. Yeah, very good. Can we look at articles on our computers and websites? Very good. So we have a lot of different places that we can search for information, and we're going to make sure that they are all what? Credible. Today all of ours are credible, correct? So what I would do is I'm going to pick up my book and I'm going to go to my, okay, so when we met a couple of weeks ago, we talked about text features, very good. Where can I look in this book? Remember I told you I was going to ask you some questions about text features when you came back? Where can I find information that specifically talks about this? Where? Oh, she used the right words. The table of contents. So I'm looking at this one, and I look down here. It says, what are elephants? Where do elephants live? Elephant bodies, elephant herds, elephant behaviors. So I would go to that page. Do I have to read this whole book? No. Could you? Yes. Would Ms. Bunker want you to read the whole book? Yes. anybody think about? What was it back here?
Index.
The index. I could look back here in the index of my book and look up specifically the words that I'm looking for in here. And I'm looking at behaviors, and there it is. And I can go to exactly to that page as well. What if I don't know what a word is when I'm reading? Where could I look? Good job. The glossary will help me. Okay, so I'm looking at elephant behaviors. So when I'm looking here, now what text feature is going to help me to pinpoint or focus in on elephant behaviors? Did everybody see this?
The photographs.
Photographs help.
Headings.
The subheadings, that's exactly what I was looking for, headings and subheadings. So here's a snooze time, elephant talk, showing affection. I never thought elephants showed affection. I didn't know that. So I have 3 things right there that I could focus on. And what was it? Snooze, so their sleeping habits. What else did we say in here? Affection.
And communication.
Very good, and I love that because I said elephant talk and somebody changed the word to communication. That's a much better word to use. Very good. Okay, so now I have the 3 things that I'm going to focus on whenever I'm talking about elephant behaviors. Right? Was that really hard to do? So how many of you find that sometimes we try to make things harder than what they are? Yeah, we do. Okay, super easy, right? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use, and now, let me just start. There are different ways that we could collect our information, right? So one of the ways is we could just take notes like we normally do. A lot of people like to print, like if you found something on a website, you can print it. My way that I'm going to show you today is using note cards. So what I would do is I would take a note card and I would read the information that it gives me, and then I'd write my notes on my note card. Okay? So this one, when it talks about snooze time, it says that elephants sleep at night and during the hottest times of the day. So I'm going to write that information in. I might put times they sleep. So one of the times that they sleep is when? At night and
During the hottest times of the day.
the hottest times of the day. So then that makes me start thinking of something else. Hottest times of the day? That's interesting. Do we sleep at the hottest times of the day sometimes?
No.
Well, think about it. How many times in the summer have we gone outside and we played and we come home and we eat? It's so hot and we just kind of lay down and watch TV or snooze or take a nap.
I lay down and watch YouTube.
Okay, so we do that, don't we? So that's kind of like a human thing, right? Do humans show affection?
Yes.
Do humans communicate?
Yeah. Or,
I'm starting to think about other things about elephants now. It's leading me off into another area. But what do I need to do? Stay on topic. I need to stop and stay on topic. But does that mean I can't look later? Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that on my note card. Now, so I'm going to write down the different times that they sleep. I'm going to write down why they do it, maybe some other information that they have on there that I find interesting. Could I put over here how they're like humans?
Yes.
Yeah, I might make those notes on this card too, because now when I'm writing my paper and I look at my note card, I'll go, oh yeah, I remember I talked about that and I thought about that. Maybe I'll make a connection in there. Okay, so in this note card, I'm going to have a lot of information that I'm going to say. Everybody with me? Okay. Now, the last thing that you need to do to this note card is we need to collect some information about the source. Now, this information that I'm talking about right here, this is some stuff that I made up, right? I'm reading it and learning it from someone. So it's really important that I give credit to the person who did all that work and that research. That is super important.
So the author was.
Now, think about this. Have you ever told somebody something and it was a great idea? And you're like, yeah, I have to, and they're like, oh my God, that's a great idea. And then a little bit later, you hear somebody says, hey, I have a great idea, and it's exactly the idea or something that you just said. You're like, I said that. That was my idea. You ever been in those situations before? They took credit for your stuff, and it kind of makes you feel like, wait a minute. Hold up.
It's plagiarism.
Very good. Excellent word. It
I've
is.
said that, but it's plagiarism.
I'm sure you have. It is plagiarism. So that is an absolute no-no when it comes to writing.
It's also
It doesn't matter who or how much information you get that you put in your research paper, as long as you give people credit for the work that they did. The guy that wrote this book, he spent a long time doing that, right? So we're going to give him credit. So we're not talking about the information about sleeping or affection or communication. I'm going to say the author of the book, Endangered Elephants, Mr. Coleman, said or did research or stated, okay? So what I need to do is, on the back of my card, I'm going to write where I found that information. So, today, and we're going to be practicing this. So, today, on the back, I'm going to write the title of where I found my information, the book, the author of the book, which is right here, and you can find it on the title page as well, and the page number of where I found it. So on here, we were at page 16, so I would write Endangered Elephants, Bobby Coleman, page 16 on this card. So now I remember where I got my information so that whenever I'm needing to incorporate this in my paper, I have all that information. Y'all got it?
Yep.
Is that enough information today to get started?
Sure.
Okay, I think so too. So let's do it. Let's get started. So, we are going to do one on animals today. So, if everybody in your materials will pull out the graphic organizer that you have and something to write with. Oh, okay. Anybody need one? Everybody has it? Okay. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thumbs up on the back row. All right. So, we're going to do this together because we're just going to collect a little bit of information. Because what we'd like to do is we're just going to spend maybe 3 or 4 minutes doing this to make sure that we go through what, and I'm going to come around and help you. Make sure that just that information that I just gave you on how I formed my question and everything using animals, you're just going to do it real quick and see, make sure we're going to submit it in our brains, okay? So it's going to be quick, it's going to be easy, right? Then we're going to do one more, and it's going to be starting you on your topic for your research paper. I'm going to get you started on that. Y'all good?
Yep.
Does everybody know what we're going to do right now? Okay, so in your materials, you have books, periodicals, and those kinds of things to use. Now,
Do you think about baby researchers?
I'm not sure. There's just a bunch of different animal books. I just want you to pick something from what you have, okay, in your materials. Now, before you get started, we said we could use books, periodicals and magazines, and what else?
Computer.
Website.
Websites. So, if you would, I would like for you to pull your computers up, and we've already went to these 3, you should have these 3 websites to access, to use to find information on the animal that you choose. Okay? These are 3 really good search engines. Okay. Alright, sorry guys for the interruption. Technical difficulties since the computer was, or the video was having trouble. But anyways, let's get back to where we were. Here are your websites that you can use. Remember, these are the websites that we've already talked about and we've already done things on. And so if, while you're looking, if you have any questions about any of them, then y'all just feel free to raise your hand. So, go ahead and get started. I'm going to come by and check and make sure that we're all showing what we know. What do you have? Yes. So go ahead and get on that one. It's the very last one. I want to show you something about that. That's cool. And if you have a question, you can ask your neighbor. If you have a question and I can't get to you quick enough, you can whisper to your neighbor and talk to them. Or if you find something interesting, you can share it with your neighbor as well. You sure? You know what you got? Yeah, just really don't want to do it. So look, here's one of these books. Do it on, just find an animal and put it in there. We're talking about the livestock, so let's see, choose which animal you want to go. Guys, remember, the topic is animals, so you're picking and choosing an animal. And remember, you're just going through to show me that you understand what we've already went over, right? I modeled it, and now you're showing me we're cementing it in our brains. How do you smell it? That's adorable. That's what I would have picked as well. You have any questions?
That's a very good search engine too.
Did you see how to search? I see some of you that are already starting to look for your interesting facts. Very good. I'm going to give you just about 2 more minutes and then we're going to move on. Does anybody have any questions about this process? Okay. So, let's just recap real quick. Remember, first we choose our topic, then we formulate our question, and then we start our research. Right? Okay. Okay, guys. So give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, since we're a little bit short on time, we're going to go ahead and start your research project for after the STAR test, whenever we start our research that unit. So I'm going to go ahead and get y'all started. So we're going to do the first 3 things that you're going to need to do, so that when we get there, you're already a little bit ahead, right? So if you would, turn your paper over. Now, what I want you to do, I'm going to give you the topic that your science and ELA teachers have already decided that you're going to do. Okay? The topic that you're going to be doing your research paper on is going to be severe weather, different types of severe weather. So the first thing, let's do a quick little thinking map. And we're doing this part individually because everybody's going to have their own individual research paper. So let's take just 2 minutes. And I want you to do your own thinking map or your little brainstorm bubble. And so we know it's going to be weather. Is it any kind of weather? Severe weather. Severe weather. So, severe weather. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's talk about what causes flooding. All right, so here are some good flooding. So here are some good different examples of some severe weather. So choose one. Let's make this easy. Choose one of these and write it down on your paper as the topic. So y'all need some, if you need a pencil, I have extra ones that are in your materials, remember? There you go. You're welcome. So write down what it is that you're going to do. So now that we picked our topic, what's the next step? We're going to do what? We're going to, no, we got to do our what? We got to form our question. Very good. So go ahead and form your question. What is it that you want to learn about your topic? Is it, if it's hurricanes, what do you want to know more about it? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a long question. How about you? Doing all right? What are you going to do? That's a good one. I have a lot of questions about that one, actually. Raise your hand if you have your question. Almost everybody? Okay, let's just one more second. Did you have a question? Okay, so we have, you know what you're writing about, you know what question that you're asking. So now we're going to start looking, and I want you to use these books. There are these library resources of all these different books on storms, hurricanes, wicked weather, severe weather. You have them in front of you. I pulled those from the library, and that's what you're going to start with. So find your topic in one of those books. Now, we're starting the research part. You're doing your own individual research, correct? Everybody shake their head, yeah, they understand. It's all it's your stuff. Now, when we're researching, name me the 3 things that we can use for research. Tell me, Tristan. Very good. You can use the internet, which we're looking at websites, right? And remember, all of our everything that you have, I want you to use those 3 search engines because those are safe and secure. And remember, I told you that I checked all these sources and they're all credible sources. All right, so we're going to use those 3 websites to search for information. We also can use our books. We can use books from the library, nonfiction, correct, nonfiction books. And we can use magazines or periodicals and things like that as well. I have all of those materials. You have the websites, you have the books, you have the magazines and periodicals which you could use. Okay, so go ahead and find 3 things about your question that you want to look for, that you want to focus on. So as you're doing that, remember, as we're doing that, we're going to write our information on this little card. So you're going to look up something in here. You're going to take your notes, and on the back, you are going to cite your source. So if you use this book, you're going to put the title, the author, and the page number. Remember? Everybody got that? That's a very important step. So today, we're only going to have time to find one thing to work on your questions. You have your question, you have your topic. So now, find one fact or something interesting that you're going to use in your research paper from your source. And then you're going to cite your source. That's all we're going to have time for today. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. I'm going to walk around to make sure that you're doing it right and answer any questions. Y'all good? Okay. So go ahead and get started. So what are you doing now? Hurricanes? All right. So find something in there. Let's look and see in the table of contents if you can find something that matches your question. I don't know what's that. Okay. So the table of contents, remember,
So look, let's look at the question. The question says, what kind of damage do hurricanes cause? So let's look and see if we can find something that talks about damage. Let's look at this. Looks interesting. Even though that it doesn't say damage, it kind of has words that make me think that they're going to talk about the kind of damage that we have. So let's look on that page. Okay, so let's look at this. Here it says it may cause flooding and it may cause wind damage. So there's two different kinds of damages. So now on your card, I want you to write some facts or some information about, let's just do this one. Let's just do the flooding. Okay, and then on the back, you're going to write the title, the author, and the page number. Okay? All right. You look good. Yours looks good. Did you find everything you needed from your one? Okay.
Just you good?
Your hand. Raise your hand if you need help finding or anything. Any questions?
See, a lot of you have already gotten your one question and your source, and as I'm checking, it looks great. So if you want to start on the second one until everyone gets finished, you can. Okay, guys. So give me a thumbs up if everybody has at least one question or one piece of information and your source for that information on one card at least. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. Since it's about time for us to go, what I want you to do is to take all of your things. I want you to take your either notes that you were taking, the guided practice and the practice that we did, making sure that you understood how to, the information that we were going to collect, and your cards, your resource cards. Okay, the information that you collect. We're going to put all of that together, and I want you to leave it right in front of you, because I'm going to come up and I'm going to come by and I'm going to put each of these into a file folder for us to use for our next lesson. Remember, our next lesson, we're going to be talking about credible sources. So we're going to make sure that the websites, we're going to find out and evaluate some web sources so that we know what's credible and what's not when we're doing our research. Okay? So we talked about text features from our last lesson. So what can you expect from your next lesson? What do you think I'm going to talk about? Very good. We'll talk about today's lesson. I'm going to be asking you questions about what the first 3 or 4 steps are going to be that we practice today when we're doing our research process. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you see me in the hallway, when you come check out Bookstrike, because you know I see you every day, I'm going to be asking you questions, okay? So y'all be prepared. All right, y'all did a great job today. So we're going to end our lesson with an exit ticket. So everybody get a card, an index card. you liked about the lesson today. 3 things that you liked about what we learned, what we did. It could be the activity we did together. It could be the think, pair, share. Whatever it is, maybe learning something new. Just list 3 things that you liked today in our lesson. Ooh, you liked a lot of stuff. Ready to move on? Give me 2 things you learned about today. 2 things that you learned. Yes. Very good. That would be perfect. Write that down. He thinks that a good way to research is using the internet. And you know what? Why do you think that is? Just out of curiosity.
Because there's so many answers that we can find.
You're absolutely right. It is so much information that we can use. It is a great resource. And like I was telling you earlier, being able to judge what is credible and what's not is very important because there's so much information out there. Very nice. Thank you. So we did 3 things we liked, 2 things we learned, and the last one is write 1 question that you still have. It may be something I just briefly touched on. It may be something that you're going to need to know. Maybe it's something that you've always wondered. Maybe it's something that you read when you were doing your research. Just 1 question. And guys, that's going to wrap up our lesson. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to finish that part. When you finish your exit ticket, if you will take your materials and make sure that they're in the material box for me to resort for the next class.